Hi, my name is Angelique, and I will be teaching you how to analyze and sketch a graph for this mathematical function. First, what you want to do is find the x and the y-intercepts. To find the y-intercept, you're going to plug 0 in for x. When you do that, you'll get negative 1/3 times 0 to the third power minus 3 times 0 plus 2. The 0 to the third cancels out and gives you 0. The negative 3 times 0 cancels out and gives you 0. And you're left with 2 times negative 1/3. Then you're going to multiply 2 times 1, and that's going to give you your y-intercept, which is negative 2/3. Then what you want to do is find the x-intercept. And to do this, you're going to have to use the rational root. The rational root is p over q. P equals 2 and q equals 1. Then you're going to put the factors of 2 over the factors of 1, which is positive negative 1, positive negative 2 over positive negative 1. This is going to give you positive negative 1 and positive negative 2. You're going to use these for x when finding the possible zeros when using synthetic division. So now I'm going to show you how to do synthetic division. What you're going to do is take the leading coefficient from each term, which is going to be 1 and 0 because x squared isn't mentioned, then negative 3 and 2. Then what you're going to do is find the numbers you got from the rational root, which is 1, negative 1, 2, and 0, 2 and negative 2. Then you're going to multiply 1 times 1 and add it to the next term. That's going to give you 1. Multiply by 1 again, it's going to give you 1. Add it to negative 3, it's going to give you negative 2. Multiply that by 1, and that's going to give you negative 2. When you add it to 2, that's going to give you 0. So now you have a depressed polynomial, which is x squared plus x minus 2. Now this function is factorable. To factor this, you're going to want to find the two numbers that multiply and give you negative 2 and add to give you positive 1. This is going to give you x plus 2 and x minus 1. Set that to 0 to find your x-intercepts. When you do that, x plus 2 equals 0, you're going to subtract 2 from each side. That's going to give you x equals negative 2, and when you do the same thing with x minus 1, that's going to give you x plus 1. Since you have x equals 1 and 1 was 0 of the function, there's going to be a balance on the graph. Then what you want to do is find the maximum and minimum. To do this, you're going to take the derivative of the function. To take the derivative, the negative 1/3 is going to tag along. It's going to be a constant. Then you're going to subtract the power and the number you get from that, you're going to multiply it from the to the coefficient. So 3 times 1 is going to give you 3, and 3 minus 1 is going to give you 2. Then with the negative 3x, it's going to give you just negative 3, and the 2 is going to cancel out. Then what you're going to do is set this function equal to 0, which is going to give you 3x squared minus 3 equals 0, because negative 1/3 is going to divide to the other side and cancel out. Next, what you want to do is add 3 to the opposite side. That's going to give you 3x squared equals 3. Multiply or divide each side by 3, and that's going to give you x squared equals 1. Then you're going to take the square root of both sides, and that's going to give you x equals positive negative 1. These are your maximum and minimum values. What you're going to do next is put this on a sign line. And to create a sign line, you're just going to take your maximum and minimum and put them on a number line. You're doing this to find if the slope is going to be positive and negative. So then what you do is you pick a number from each section, which I chose negative 2, 0, and 2. And then you're going to plug it into the derivative. So when you plug in negative 2 into the derivative, you're going to get negative 1/3 times 3 times negative 2 to the second power minus 3. That's going to give you negative 1/3 times 9. Multiply 9 times 1, and that's going to give you negative 9 divided by 3, which is going to give you negative 3. So now you know that this slope is going to be negative. Then you do the same thing with 0, and that's going to give you negative 1/3 times negative 3. Negative 3 divided by negative 3 is going to give you positive 1. So you know that this slope is going to be positive. And then again with 2 from the next section, which is going to give you negative 1/3 times 9 again. When you multiply 9 times 1, it's going to give you 9 divided by negative 3, which is going to give you a negative number, so you know this slope's going to be negative also. Then what you want to do is plug in the maximum and minimum into the original function, which is negative 1/3 times x to the third minus 3x plus 2. When you plug in negative 1, you're going to get negative 4/3, and when you plug in 1, you're going to get 0. This will give you the location of the maximum and minimum on the y-axis. So now that you have a general idea of how the graph is going to look, and you know that there's a bounds, you're going to want to take the second derivative so that you can find the point of inflection on the graph. To find the second derivative, you just take the derivative of the first, which was negative 1/3 times 3x squared times 3. So you multiply the leading coefficient by the power, which is going to give you 6x, and subtract the power by 1. Same with negative 3, which is going to cancel out. So then you get negative 1/3 times 6x. You multiply 6x times 1, which is going to give you 6x divided by negative 3. It's going to give you negative 2x. When you divide negative 2x to both sides, you're going to get the point of inflection on the x-axis to 0. You plug in that into the original function. So negative 1/3 times 0 to the third power times 3 times 0 plus 2. These are going to cancel out, and you're going to be left with negative 1/3 times 2. Multiply 2 times 1, and you're going to get, on the y-axis, negative 2/3. So now that you know your point of inflection, you know your y-intercept, you know your x-intercepts, you know your maximum, and you know your minimum, you're ready to draw the graph. So then you're going to go on the y-axis, go to 0, and go down to negative 1/3, or negative 2/3, which is going to be about right there. You graph the x-intercepts, negative 2, 0, and 1, 0. The maximum is the same as the x-intercept, and then you put the minimum on the graph, which is going to be negative 1 and negative 4/3, which is about right there. And your point of inflection is the same as your y-intercept. And now that you know which direction the slope is, you know the first, it's going to go downwards. It's negative. So you're going to start up here. You're going to go down. You're going to bounce back up. And this is when the graph turns around and starts going the opposite way because of the bounce. And now you have the function graph.